Hey guys, I've shot 4 different intros to this video. Today, I'm just going to share kind of from my heart, consumerism, buying new trucks, buying new vehicles, why we buy the vehicles we buy, and that sort of thing. So follow me along as I muse down a little bit of memory road and wax about why we buy these things. I came outside and I just, I saw Silva. I had to do some regular errands, and I saw Silva sitting there, and it just kind of struck me just a little bit that it's just a thing. Like, we all jab each other and talk about each other, about what we drive and the things we like and that sort of thing, but ultimately they're just things. Like, I know I call it Silva, and I name my cars and kind of give them this anthropomorphic characteristic and that sort of thing, kind of humanize them whenever they're really they're just things. They don't care. They're just tools. And Silva's no different, than any other tool. I mean, like, practically speaking, there is no difference between a truck that's made by GM and a truck that's made by Ford, or, ultimately it's just an inanimate object that serves a purpose. But they serve a purpose for us. And so we have connections with things. Human beings do. And so I just wanted to mention that, because the thing represents something else for a lot of folks. I remember the first time I saw a new Chevrolet pickup truck. My grandfather worked at a lime rock mine in Florida, and he was a supervisor, so he got the nicer vehicles. He was given a brand spanking new I think it was an 87 or an 88 Chevrolet pickup truck. It was a basic truck, had an automatic transmission, air conditioning. I know it was a big deal to him because it got air conditioning, and he would take us for rides in it. He was able to use it not just as his work truck, but kind of as his go-getting truck, as his personal truck. And that truck was red, and I loved it. I thought it was an attractive truck back then. Of course, now these are called OBS trucks, old body style trucks. And there's like a connection there with my grandfather. I think it's important that we recognize those things. And so the main reason why a lot of people buy a particular brand is not so much because it's a great brand. It's because of, like, a connection somewhere. So even whenever Ford was going through the massive debacle that it did back in the 2000s with the 6-liter and the 6.4-liter Power Stroke, people were still buying Fords. And there were some that moved over to Chevrolet or moved over to Ram because of their treatment or their experience with the 6-liter. But a lot of people stuck with them and endured through it because, quote unquote, I've heard people say this kind of thing. My dad or my grandfather would roll in their grave if they knew that I had left Ford for Chevy, or left Chevy for Ford, or left Ram for Ford. I've heard those kind of things before. And so we have this connection with stuff, and it's really not the stuff as much as it's the people that we connect with. And the next thing I wanted to kind of talk about is, it does represent the people, but it also represents goals, right? And so I remember in 1996, whenever one of my best friend's dad purchased a brand spanking new extended cab Silverado. It was awesome. It was like this burgundy color. He put the over wheel wheel arch floorboards is like these big flowing floorboards. I'll try to grab a screenshot off the internet and put it in here so you know what I'm talking about. It was a 2-wheel drive. He lowered it just a little bit, put a nice sounding exhaust on it, and man, was that truck so beautiful. And like, it was a huge accomplishment for him. It was like something that he always wanted, was to be able to purchase a brand new Silverado. And so he had that goal. He's still alive today, and he's purchased a couple other trucks since then, of course. But it always struck me that like he hit a goal. And so that's kind of what Silva is. Silva is, you know, me. It represents a gap that I had. You know, it's a tool that I needed. It filled the gap for towing the travel trailers, and you know, coming up to a newer level of a vehicle as far as a pickup truck is concerned. But it also represented, like, I was able to afford the truck. And so it's like a goal. It represents hitting a goal or a milestone. And so I just wanted to mention that, you know, and that, you know, it's more than just connection. It's more than just goal. But in today's like consumer society that we have, there's a big problem, I think, with what we call waste, right? It's just, I'll use myself as an example. We would just traded off Steph's Lucy, the Lincoln MKC, because those 2.0 EcoBoosts are just totally unreliable. We've had 3 blow up in the family, and I just didn't want to have that to deal with it again. So, like, we fixed a problem that I know we could have fixed for $3,500 with a used engine, with a lot more expensive purchase, because we didn't want to have to deal with that 4-cylinder again. We wanted a newer, nicer, bigger thing, right? And so that consumerism just kind of strikes us too. It kind of bothers me because, you know, like, people used to keep vehicles, and maybe this is like a unique experience for my family. But we used to keep vehicles for like years and years and years and years and years and years. And like Lucy, the little 2.0 EcoBoost, we kept that car 8 years, 7 years, something like that. So we kept it a long time. But my wife's uncle just across the street, he has a 1987 S10 that he purchased brand new. It still runs, still drives, still does everything he needs. He purchased a 1994 Silverado 7 or 8 years ago, and he's running and driving it. That's his daily driver. He wanted a van, you know, for hauling junk, trash, you know. He just wanted a van, and so we found a junky old 93 or 94, 95 GM van. I'm not sure if it's a Chevrolet or if it's a GMC. It's a little shorty 4.3 V6. He's had it for years. Paid $1,300 for it. So things represent, you know, connections. They represent goals and achievements, but they also can represent waste. It's like, did I really need to trade in my 2011 Tahoe that towed our travel trailer just fine for this? No, it was a good running Tahoe. But I wanted this new truck, which is not new anymore. It's got 70,000 miles on it. And I could legitimately use this truck the rest of my life. You know, if I kept it 35 years, that's putting me in the late 70s as far as age is concerned. And so if I keep this truck as long as my wife's uncle's kept his S10, I'm going to be almost 80 with this same truck. And, you know, it's got a good tow rating. It's got good power. It's got good things. But it kind of leads me to my last point, and that's the issue of trust. That little S10 that he has an Iron Duke 4-cylinder that is bulletproof. It's simple. We trust it. We can drive anywhere in the United States in that little 4-cylinder S10, and it's fine. But am I going to trust this truck with all of the little electronic doodads and flat screen and USB ports and cables, 8-speed transmission, engine that has turbochargers and active fuel management? Am I going to trust this thing to get me 35 years down the road? I think the answer to that is no. I love this truck. This is a great truck, but recognizing that it's just a tool and it's got some very sensitive electronics in it, right? Is it going to last? Is this truck going to last even like an OBS truck from the 90s? You know, I still see those things driving around everywhere. Are these 2.7s and 5.3s and 6.2s, are they still going to be going in 35 years? Not so sure. I'm not so sure. Planned obsolescence is really a thing. And so, you know, just musing today, not trying to be negative, but it is what it is. We've got to call a spade, right? I'm thankful for this truck, but is it going to last 30 years, 35 years? I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. Right now, my goal is 150 to 200,000 miles. If I can get there, I think that's a good goal for this truck before I move on to something else. Of course, the big 9,000 pound trailer is at this 2.7's capacity, rated capacity. So who knows if it, you know, down the road, I might find a good deal on a 3/4 ton truck. That'll give me a lot more headroom. But is that, you know, just more consumerism? Is it just spending more needless money whenever the vehicle you got's perfectly adequate? I don't know. Anyway, that's just my musing for the day, guys. If you got any other thoughts, comments, let me know down below what you think. I hope you guys have a great day. Thank y'all so much for watching.